Happy Tuesday, traders. This is Tanner with Charting Options. Today is January 18th, and I am here to quickly recap today's day trade ideas. I only shared two day trade ideas today, Tesla and SPY, considering the nature of how the market was looking this morning and how we were gapping down considerably. Typically, I might not have even shared any levels at all, but I really liked where Tesla was, which is on your screen right here, Tesla and SPY being the two tickers of choice. I liked where it was pre-market, how it was holding 1020 support. So that was an interesting level. And I felt like there could have been a trade for this as well as SPY. So I went ahead and set some levels. We do know that Tesla triggered to the upside. SPY ended up triggering to the downside and actually gapping below our level to clear to the downside. So that trade made for a trickier trade on that end. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about obviously the nature of Tesla as well. Tesla quickly reversed following its trigger to the upside, so the potential for a trade was very quick. It was just a scalp. I actually traded it today myself, and I was in and out of this week's 1,100 calls within minutes for just I think I made like $200 or $300 on each contract. So anyways, all that to be said, we will talk about the rationale between setting the levels to the upside and the downside, and we'll just go over today's price action in totality. What is really cool, and I have learned from the community, which is awesome. I really appreciate anyone that helped today with the questions that I had about TradingView. It seems as though I can create layouts for every day or once a week or however I feel or however often I feel it be pertinent. But all that to say, I believe I can share my link or a series of links with you guys so you can review these charts live. So that'll be a test tomorrow for tomorrow's day trade ideas. When I share the ideas, I will also share the link for the layout for the charts. So if you have TradingView, or even if you don't have TradingView, you may be able to see it. It might refrain you to only the daily. But if you do have TradingView, you will be able to use this link to watch the price action develop live. And I believe you can mark up the charts as well on your own separate account using the link also. That I might be talking out of place there. I don't know that, so excuse the ignorance. I'm trying my best to learn all the capabilities of TradingView. I know there is a lot. So I digress from that, but that it could be exciting for tomorrow. So be on the lookout for that development. Let me go ahead and create some session breaks here so we can delineate between sessions. See these vertical lines that I'm changing in the background represent each day in totality of price action on this 10-minute time frame. So each candle represents 10 minutes of price action. Each line break represents an entire day's worth of price action. And you can see today's ended here. So the big reason I'm showing this widened to start is I want to just demonstrate to you guys what Tesla is working through. At least coming into today. So we had this really big triangle from the January high. So this is the 2022 high up here in the top left where my cursor is. That is acting as trendline resistance. You can see we were thwarted last week on the 13th, so Thursday. So we have two reference points now for that trend line. 2 is a minimum of what you need, but 3 obviously provides more conviction that a trend line is apparent. But for downtrends, it's a bit easier to confirm that without a third reference point. And then from a trendline support standpoint, from the January low, so this is the 2022 low set last Monday, we have, as of Friday, 2 reference points of higher lows off of the trend line, so using it as support. So we had conviction coming into today that this trend line at the bottom is in fact an area of support. So now I will zoom in so we can see today's candles and just a few dating back to last week. So yeah, as I mentioned, this is Friday's price action. You can see Friday price pushed down, bounced just below the trend line, bounced back up, and then later in the session used the trend line to bounce higher and close at the highs of the day on Friday. So essentially what we wanted to see price do in terms of triggering to the downside is getting below this trend line and then getting below Friday's low. So Friday's low was 1013.38, so that was below the 1020 support. So 1020 has acted as great support for Tesla, and you can see today price gapped down considerably, gapped just above the trend line, gave us a 10-minute close below the trend line, but not near our trigger. And then the next 10-minute candle put in a new daily low and then moved a lot higher, and fully engulfing the previous 10-minute candle. So if you were watching Tesla early this morning, this was a buy signal. For price to undercut the trend line and close below it on the 10-minute and then be fully engulfed on a nice igniting bar to the upside back through the trend line. So this would be a false breakdown. That's quite a bullish development, especially when you consider it had the looming gap overhead from the gap down this morning. Price was quickly getting into it, so it would provide for a swifter trade through that gap. And then sure enough, from there we had 4 consecutive candles to the upside on the 10-minute time frame, the third of which gave us our confirmation, our trigger to the upside, which was 1052. If you look left, again reverting back to Friday, 1052 was Friday's high, which was set at the very end of the day. And if you look left earlier in the week on Thursday, it acted as support and then a pivot down once price lost it. On Tuesday of last week, it acted as a pivot to the upside. Price tested it twice, confirmed that it was going to reclaim it, then stayed above and used it as support later in the day. So you can see price is pretty sensitive to this 1050 spot. It's kind of a psych level too. It's a rounded number. I know obviously we use 1052, but that is loose. So yeah, so we got the 10-minute close above, and then, I mean, if you're popping on the 5-minute chart, at that point, following the 10-minute confirmation, Discord gets the alert, and the trade's pretty much gone away from you. So I was really eyeing Tesla today, so I was able to enter, and I did enter. I chose to enter on this candle right after price gave us our confirmation. And then from there, I didn't even get to capture the whole move. I think I ended up, I didn't like the price action, so I ended up, this line that I have drawn here, this 1064, that's just randomly there, was a markup for me today. And then you can see from there, price traded sideways and then went and retested the line itself, bounced, and then lost it. So some weak action there. From that point, that was a short signal potentially if you wanted to trade this differently. You can see price came up and retested it at the end of the day, was unable to stay above, and then faded to new lows. And then at that point, which I have drawn this triangle, that did not exist this morning when I shared this. But you can see price had formed a downtrend from this intraday lower high, and then broke it, and then tried to push back again and get back above our 1052, but was unable to, and then was thwarted and ended up closing below, on the daily, closing below our trend line. So this will be something to watch tomorrow. This looked really weak into close, especially considering how strong it was this morning. So Tesla will be one to monitor. If it goes ahead and it loses this 1,000 support, it would definitely speak to an even likely an even bigger move to the downside for the broader market, as Tesla has heavy implications on the major indexes, both the NASDAQ and the SPX. So we will see what it wants to do. You can see 1052 is a big level now for price to get and stay above. So if this was to be on a day trade idea tomorrow, that would be the level. We're going to keep it there. Maybe we'll move it a little bit higher, because we did have this fake out here. So maybe we'd want to see it more like 1055, just to try and remove any potential for this. But you can see 1052 is a big spot for price. Okay, so SPY, let's go to SPY. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, SPY gap just below our level. So it made this trade a little trickier. Our level to the downside was just simply Friday's low. It was not quite last week's low, but it was pretty much the low for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Monday, price created the low of the week. So price didn't get all the way down to that. You can see that here on the left side of your screen where I have my cursor, but you can see on Monday when price did get below this 459.91, so basically 460, which is a big psych level, you can see it flushed pretty hard and then bounced, tried to get back above, was unable to, was rejected, flushed hard again, bounced, wicked at it twice, and then was finally able to get above, retest, and pushed higher. So this is clearly a pivot. At least it acted as so on Monday. And if you go back further in time, you have to go back much further in time because we're down on the chart now. You will see it acted as such then as well. So to see it act as support on Friday was unsurprising. And it also was confluent at that point on Friday with a trend line that dates back well in time. So I'm going to put on the 65-minute here so you can see this. But this trend line is part of the trend line that really corresponds with the COVID swing low. So right now I only have it drawn to October of 2021, but this goes all the way back in time to the April, I want to say 2020 low, roughly. Maybe March, but as you can see, so price lost a big level today. And that was our rationale with getting potentially short if price lost that. So you can see the first 10-minute candle, we did get a retest. Price came up, opened here, quickly retested that 459.91 spot, just left a little wick on the 10-minute, and I'll make this even bigger so we can all see it together. Left just a little tiny wick and then pushed lower. So again, that's when Discord gets the alert, hey, SPY's trigger to the downside. You pop on a chart, you take a peek at what price is doing, and you can see from there price created new lows off of that 10-minute and then attempted to bounce but was unable to do so. So hopefully you didn't just enter blindly on that first 10-minute candle. If you did, you still could have profited, but you definitely would have not been feeling as good on this bounce. But you can see that this bounce was really nothing. It's nothing more than a bear flag in a flag in a downtrend. That's all this is. So obviously we have a gap here. So there's a huge gap looming from today's gap down, but just envision this as being one big nasty candle. If I had after hours on, you'd see a series of nasty candles to the downside. So this is a downtrend flag, which is considered a bear flag that often breaks down, and then from there it did, obviously, and pushed all the way to 455.50 and provided the potential for a really good trade, regardless if you entered here or if you ended up entering on this bear flag breakdown. So I used the 5-minute here to illustrate that, because if you look on the 10-minute, you don't get to quite see it as vividly as you do on lower time frames. So that is why it's important to be cognizant of multiple time frames as you're trading. Multiple time frame analysis is important because we always like to look for full time frame continuity in general, but also because patterns can be hidden on higher time frames if you do not pay attention to a lower version. So here's the 5-minute, and then even on the 3-minute you can see it even better. So all that to say, 455.50-ish. I think the low of the day was 455.34. So that'll be tomorrow's line in the sand, unless we get a huge gap down. This will be tomorrow's level to hold. If not, we'd take a trade below. We're just simply trading the low of the day for the most part. Now that is an area of support if you look left, back and further in time. And I had mentioned this today that this was actually a full gap fill of the December 21st bullish gap that price had experienced. So regardless, we'll see how things unfold. Today was tricky to trade. It was really just a watch day because we had such a big gap down, and then price really just traded sideways most of the day. So it's really hard to buy puts on such a gap down unless the trade is evident, like this bear flag breakdown that we got following our trigger to the downside. And it's obviously even more difficult right now to really feel comfortable getting long anything. So a lot of wait and see in the market as there's a ton of indecision going on. I hope you had a great day. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your support.